Hello, Markee Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life. And today I'm out in Ocean Springs again. I'm at the Ruskin Oak. This is an amazing oak tree. I have no idea how old it is. If it's anything like there's a restaurant that's in downtown Biloxi that has an oak tree in its courtyard that's about 2,000 years old. And that restaurant, by the way, was founded in, I think, 1700 and something. Anyway, it's very, very old. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but anyway, I'm sure that this thing, given how big it is probably somewhere at least 1,500 years old. It's amazing. We're right next to the coast. We're actually only a couple of blocks away from the coastline, and so I'm sure that this has seen many, many hurricanes. Okay, so I got PenCop34. He says that he wanted to make a comment on my talking about the motivation, you know, in my entrepreneurial series of videos. And he says that, you know, one of the things that I talked about with motivation was people yelling, you know, like a boss yelling at you, you know, 9 to 5 to keep working harder, harder, faster, you know, and how that was the exact opposite for him. He's an entrepreneur, and he says that what motivates him to work really hard and a lot of hours is the success. And the basically when he performs a good action and everything, he directly sees a result from that. And he sees a result in, you know, whether that's a sale in his company, or whether that's a new person to his website, or whether that's, and you know, like at a website, you know, they're gonna buy something, or they're gonna read an article, or they're gonna submit content, or they're gonna click an ad. You know, whatever makes the money, earns the money, is what, you know, the desired action is. And you know, for me, the harder I work, the more I can produce. The more I can produce, the more success I can have. And I think that that's a natural progression of how these things work. So I just wanted to agree with him on that. You know, that's what drives me. And there's also something else that's a big driver for me as a entrepreneur, as someone who's self-employed, which is necessity. And necessity breeds innovation. And what I mean by that is that, you know, if you're not making enough to cover your bills, you're going to work extra hard to figure out ways to earn that income so that you can pay your bills. And, you know, that could be asking mom and dad for some money, or that could be that you actually, you know, take on a second job. Or, you know, it could be that you just work harder at what you're doing and to try and generate more. So for myself, if I can take what I love to do, which I'm a creator, which is like content creation, which is like videos, it's gameplay, it's you know, other stuff I like. I like building businesses and everything, and you know, I've got a couple of things going on for me right now, and I really enjoy doing those. And I try and spend the majority of my time doing whatever makes the most dollars per hour in respects to my income, and but also stuff that really has big potential. I'll spend time on that, and then if that lights up, I might switch what I'm focusing on. And so anyway, motivation for me is success, and success can be derived in many different ways. And if I had to go back to a 9-to-5 job, if I had somebody yelling at me, I'd tell them to go screw themselves and I'd walk out. I really would. And even if I needed the job, I did have a job one time where I stood up for what I believed. I was working for Micron Computers, which I don't even know if they make computers anymore, but they were a big competitor for Dell many years ago. And they had this call center I had just sold my company, and it was a computer store that I owned, and I had just sold it, and I got screwed on that deal, and that was my mistake. I made a mistake in the contract, and I lost a lot of money from that. Lesson learned: always read the contracts thoroughly. And so after that, you know, I was faced with, I didn't have very much money. I had maybe only a couple months worth of income left, and so I had to go take whatever job I could get right at the time. And so I was offered a job with Micron, working in their call center, and decided that you know, it wasn't really the kind of job that I wanted, but I know computers, and I knew I could give good customer service and everything, and that was going to work really well. Well, then I get there, and what a horrible place to work. Oh my God. It was, I don't know, it was like a mill of people. There was new people all the time. There was always people quitting. And the first day I was there, my lunch got stolen. And then when I complained about it, they told me not to put it in the refrigerator. And I'm like thinking, do I have stuff that needs to be refrigerated? And so, you know, they, I thought that was absolutely crazy. You know, why can't you control the people that are working for you and everything? And I may have told this story before on camera. I'm not really sure if I have or not, but I ended up with needing, well, my first couple of days of class, I was objecting to what the teacher was teaching, because I had been dealing with all of this technology, and it wasn't book learned for me. I had actually had hands-on with all of it, and what he was teaching was wrong. And so I couldn't contain myself, and I had to object. And he got upset with me the second day, and he's like, you know, don't be objecting unless you have proof. So next day, I brought in like 3 magazine articles showing the 3 different things I was talking about. It was, you know, it was in writing. It was true. And he got mad at me. He's like, if you're such an expert, why don't you teach the class? I'm like, okay, I can do that. And I did. I took over teaching my own class, which I was very surprised, but you know, it's like he didn't want to be there, and he, you know, convinced his manager, his boss, that, you know, I should be the one teaching the class because I knew it all. Whatever it is he told him, I'm not sure. And so then I taught the class, and I worked there for another couple of weeks, and the class lasted, I don't know, it was another 7 days worth of work days, something like that. And then we had a couple of weeks where we didn't have any classes, and then when another classes came around, I was assigned to teach the next class. Fine with me. I was comfortable with doing that. I walked in, and I was a bit early, and the first guy in the very first row, I mean, I walk in, and he's right there inside the door. And I look at him, and I say, "You're out of jail already?" And he's like, "Yep, got out early for good behavior." I'm like, what? And he had gone to jail only, I don't know, less than 6 months prior. And it's back when I had the computer store. I got brought up in front of a grand jury because we bought used server equipment from this guy, and we're reselling it. It turned out that he worked for Intel, and he was stealing it from Intel. And so he sold it to us, and he sold it to several other places, and we all got brought up in front of a grand jury. We had to go in and testify, and to see whether or not they were going to do charges against the guy, and whether or not they were going to do charges against each one of us. If we had knowingly taken in stolen goods, we'd have had charges against us. So I was incredibly upset with this guy. I mean, you know, he not only cost me $13,000, because that's about how much money I had spent out with him, that we had to give back to Intel, and I didn't get the money back from him. Turns out he'd come in a lab coat all the time. Turns out, up his arms, he had a bunch of, he'd been shooting up and everything, but we never saw that. We didn't know he was a drug addict. He always come in his lab coat, which went all the way down to the end. And so, anyway, I saw him there, and I walked back out of the class, and I walked down to my manager, and I said, you know, the reason why I'm getting stuff stolen here is because of people like this. And you can't be hiring people like this and solve the problem of lunches getting stolen, and the computers were, I kid you not, cabled down to the desks, and the cases were locked shut with padlocks and everything, so nobody could unscrew them and steal stuff out of them and everything. And my headset, I had to take it home with me every night because I had no place to lock it up there. And this was the culture there. So I stood up and I said, he needs to, you need to let him go. And they said, no. And I said, well, by the end of today, he needs to be gone or I am. And end of the day came around and he was still in my class. And so I went to my boss and I said, okay, so what's the verdict here? He says, we're keeping him. And I'm like, wow. I'm not conceited or whatnot in the fact of thinking that I'm better than this other guy, but I know that I'm better than this other guy. I'm not a thief. And I just couldn't believe that they would be keeping him over me. And I'm like, okay, well, here's my notice. I gave you my notice. I'm out of here. So, I couldn't work in a hostile environment like that, and I would never, ever have any of my employees work in an environment like that. So, anyway, I know the pressures of working for other people. I've done it plenty, and it's not a place that I'm comfortable with. I can do it, but it's not a place I'm comfortable with, and it does really motivate me to make my own hours and do my own stuff. So, anyway, thanks for the question on that and the follow-up of that. I think that's a really good point on the motivation, and I appreciate it. Take care. Well, if you've made it this far, maybe I can interest you in a few other videos. Lower right, one of the scariest things I've ever done. I went out there with the lightning. It was the remnants of Hurricane Isaac, and lots of lightning going on. I was in my carport. I took my little handheld camera out with me. It was having a little bit of trouble focusing because of the low light. But just watch. Just wait. It scares the crap out of me several times when really, really big thunder and lightning hit right over the top of me. If you keep focused on it, you'll see it, because I think it's coming up here pretty quick. While we're waiting for that, upper right, World of Tanks. I love my low there. It's a lot of fun. And I have gameplay dedicated to World of Tanks, and if you're interested in seeing the gameplay, check it out, click on that. Oh, and there it was. That was the first one that scared the hell out of me in the lower right. I didn't know what to think when that hit. It was the loudest I'd ever heard in my life, and there's more that happens. So do watch, click on that. Upper left. So, have you ever had problems with lag in WoW or in other games? I use WoW as an example in here, but if you are playing on a game server that you have a lot of hops to go through on the internet, you may want to check this out. I explain about how What the Fast works and how it can help you. Plus, in the description of that video, we link to a free trial where you can try it out. What the Fast is something, I did that video a couple of years ago, and they have grown immensely since then, and it's because they've got a great service. It's not for everyone, but for those of you who are having lag issues, high ping times, it can lower your ping time, especially if you're playing first-person shooters. It can do amazing stuff for you. Now, in the lower left, that is me announcing the Markee Dragon Show. For those of you who like being subscribed to my channel, but don't like all of the extra stuff like, the World of Tanks gameplay or, all these other games I play that I am posting on there, or say, we're going to be doing some live stuff as well, and you don't want to be alerted to the live stuff, then you'll have a chance to subscribe to just the Markee Dragon Show channel. That is my commentary, which I do twice a day. It's posted at 9 a.m. Central Time and 7 p.m. Central Time, almost every day, twice daily. And so if you click on that, that will take you to the show's homepage where you can subscribe to just the show. And so that was a solution I've been working on for quite a while, because there were people who didn't like how much gameplay stuff I was posting, so I calmed down on it for a while. and now we're about to put that into full gear again. Lots more gameplay coming. So do check it out, and I encourage you, if you like to see more behind the scenes stuff, in the lower right, that is my personal vlog. So I talk a lot about the technology that I use for broadcasting, I talk about the hardware, I talk about some of the troubles I've gone through with some of the stuff getting the show on the air, and then other fun stuff that's not related to video games, like going out and playing in the lightning. So check it out. I'm Markee Dragon, take care.